Director, producer, editor, 27-time Emmy Award winner, Jesse Vaughan. Vaughn has done work for notable national television shows to include NBC Nightly News, Meet the Press, and The Today Show. He has also directed music videos for high-caliber artists such as NSYNC, SWV, and Eric Benet. Tune in to learn more about Vaughn's prolific career and guiding principles.
All right, Jesse, appreciate you taking the time out, to chop it up with the young blood. But I just want to say that you really are an OG of the game. Like, you've done it all. I was just doing some research earlier today, and you've done a lot in just a small amount of time. So just wanted to dive in from the jump. So, just starting out, I saw that you are a VCU alum.
Yes.
Prior to that, what was your original goals and aspirations coming up?
Well, I didn't really realize my goals and aspirations until I was, I was 18 years old. I was a freshman in high school. I was a freshman at Virginia Commonwealth University. I was in my second semester, and I was actually majoring in general studies.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
I met a reporter at Channel 12, Bernadine Simmons, and she saw some of my artwork. I was doing India sketches because I love sketching. And so she said to me in this meeting, she said, have you ever thought about television being your canvas? And I thought, no, I've never thought about that. She says, well, you're an artist, why don't you try television? I didn't view television as a place for artists, but she says, no, everything's there. From directing to designing, and everything's there. It encompasses every aspect of the art world, from fashion to photography, everything. Mm-hmm. And so she said, go down the channel. She said, go to the TV stations, and I want you to use this phrase. She said, say to them, I'll do anything. I just want to get my foot in the door. So I went to Channel 6, and I met with John Shan, the station manager, and I used that exact phrase. And for whatever reason, he was impressed by it, because I said to him, I just want to be inside the building. I don't care what it is. I just want to either hang out here, I'll sweep the floors, I'll take out the trash. It didn't matter. Right. I just want to be here. And so he said, well, how about this? I'll give you a part-time studio camera job on the weekends, and you can start on Saturday. I need a weekend cameraman for the 6 p.m. and 11 o'clock news on Saturdays and Sundays. And so that's how I got my start. So that was the end of my freshman year. And so then I decided to major in mass communications, and that's how my career started.
Okay, cool. So prior to that, you could have possibly gotten into art if...
Actually, I could have gone into art because I love sketching, but I've always been a fan of psychology. I love psychology. Okay. And if I hadn't become a filmmaker, I probably on some level would have been a psychologist, because I'm very intrigued by what makes people tick. Mm-hmm. I like to know what people's motivations are, why they act the way they do and say the things they do. It really fascinates me. I'm fascinated by the brain, and I'm fascinated by people's personalities, and there's always a reason for everything that we do. And so if I hadn't become a filmmaker, I would have probably entered the world of some type of counseling or psychology on some level.
Okay, cool. And it almost plays it almost fell into your lap, I guess, in that sense, because as with film, it's about character development, and there's a psychology sense behind that. So I guess it was almost the best of both worlds, I guess, in that sense.
It is, because in filmmaking, there are only so many personality archetypes. I think there are, and I'm not an expert on this, but I think there are about 12 different archetypes. And so as a filmmaker, when you are doing, especially a motion picture, you begin to study your characters to find out, well, what type of archetype is this? Is it a warrior mindset archetype? And if so, then what are the pluses or the positive aspects of that personality, and what are the shadow aspects of that personality? And so when you study the characters, you begin to say, well, the shadow aspect of a warrior is going to act a certain way in a negative way. The the positive aspect, the hero aspect of the warrior is going to act a certain way. So you want to make sure in a film that your characters at least have a level of uniqueness and authenticity when it comes to their character. So for me, I like to study characters, and I like to know, well, why is this person reacting in this scene this way? Well, there's a reason for it, because something previous happened, and that's how it works. I mean, it's like life. You know, every day in life, we react to situations based on something that either has happened directly, or I should say immediately before, or something in our past. Right. Everything that we do is reflected. It's like the mind is like a computer in some ways, right? What goes in comes out. Right. We store information in our brains, and that information somehow, you know, is like our minds are somewhat like a desktop, right? And so on that desktop, you have all these different folders. What are those folders? Those folders are, you know, how you were raised. You know, and so you're going to react in life based on how you were raised. You're going to act in life based on your education. You're going to act in life based on your knowledge. Those are the folders on our desktop or in our minds. So I say all this to say that I am fascinated by the way people think and characterizations and all of that, and that's probably why I ended up being a filmmaker.
Jesse Vaughan created an atmosphere on that set that was totally conducive to creativity, and that's real important. He just allowed you to do what you want to do and do your thing. And I think that, to me, I could have never done what I did in this movie if it wasn't for Jesse.
He always makes sure we look good.
You know, like I said before, you have a very esteemed career. So I know you've had, you know, numerous accomplishments and things of that nature. But what would you say is your most esteemed or like your proudest moment in your career? If you could narrow it down. I know it's going to be difficult. Or you could or top three, if that makes sense.
My proudest moment? You know, there are a few moments in my life that kind of stand out for me. I had Quincy Jones mentor me for about a year and a half when I was directing the Jesse Jackson show.
Right.
And that was really special for me because he actually changed my life. I was working in NBC, and I got a call to have dinner with him and Jesse Jackson.
Wow.
They were looking for a director, and so they had dinner with me and made an offer to me. And so when I became friends with him, I was in Washington, D.C. I would call him at home, and we would talk on the phone, and he would advise me on life. And I remember I was deciding to leave NBC. I had a really good career. I was making very decent money, but I wanted to move to Los Angeles because I was bored by television news. I didn't like it anymore. I didn't like talk shows. I didn't like news. It was boring to me. And the news industry was changing. It was becoming a little bit like yellow journalism, where the reporters and the anchors were inserting themselves in the story. It was all about everyone's opinions, and I just didn't care for it anymore. Right. So I remember talking to Quincy Jones and on the phone, and I said, you know, I'm a little bit scared. Here I'm, you know, well over six figures. I'm doing really well. I'm going to give all of that up to move to LA, and I don't have a job, and I'm going to go freelance. I said, can you give me some advice on, you know, how I should be thinking? And I'll never forget what he said. He said to me, you know, he talked about fear, and he says, always believe in your talent and know that it's going to carry you wherever you want to go. And I've always remembered that. Always believe in your talent and know that it's going to carry you wherever you want to go. And so for me, I had put in the work on the development of my skill set, because that's important. And in that process of developing my skill set, that takes away some of the fears. And so what I was lacking at that time was just that belief that, yes, my talent can sustain my life, and my talent can be like my shoes. They can carry me wherever I want to go. So that was significant. Another one was Stevie Wonder. The first job I got to Los Angeles, it was really strange. I got a call in Washington, D.C. from New York. It was MTV. And the MTV networks was VH1, someone representing VH1. And they said, you know, we've heard about you. We like your work. We want to hire you to do some documentaries for us. And I said, great. So who's the first documentary? And they said, Stevie Wonder. Oh. And I was pretty blown away. And so my first week in Los Angeles, I was working on a documentary with Stevie Wonder. Now, he has always been, for me, the most significant artist, because I just respect him as an individual. I respect the way he goes about his craft. I respect the type of music that he plays. And he's just always positive. He's always about love and peace and all these things that I try to stand for. And I'll just share this story with you because it was so amazing for me. So here I am with Stevie Wonder, interviewing him, producing and directing a 30-minute documentary special for him for the MTV networks. And so we start talking about him being a genius. He's very humble. He doesn't believe that. I said, that's not relevant. That was a marketing, ploy. They like to call me genius. I don't see myself that way. So we started talking about his poetry. So he recited this poem. It was just amazing, and I remember it to this day. And I want to recite it for you.
Okay.
So he said this. He says, "Out of the blue, there came to me a question. The question was, if I were blessed with the gift of sight, what in life would I most want to see? This reminds me of a story about a boy who had no use of his hands or his legs, who was asked, if he could touch and walk this land, what in life would he most want to see? And this is what he said, as I recall. If mine eyes could see, let them be the witness of a world that is color-free. If my limbs could move, let them touch and walk this land where hate can no longer be. If my ears were to hear, let it like the sweetest music be unity and harmony. And if my tongue were to speak, let it talk about a world where love is for all and fear can't put dreams to sleep." So when you say the highlights of my life, those two individuals by far represented the highlight of my life. The third one would be, I was in my car in Los Angeles and my phone rang, and it was my agent at the time, and he asked me would I be interested in writing Bob Marley's autobiography for Island World.
Right.
And I had to pull my car off the side of the road, and I actually cried.
Oh, wow.
Because I said to myself, oh my God, I'm being asked. I beat out 2 Academy Award winning writers, and they picked me to do that.
Wow.
Now the film has never been made. It's sitting in litigation, or I should say it's sitting in turnaround at Warner Brothers, and it's been there for a long time. Making a movie is very complicated. So those are the 3 things that I think probably stand out. There are others, but those are 3 experiences that significantly changed my life.